Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to, I guess, our foray into the Club 100 Sprint Championships. If you missed the previous race at Whilton Mill, we had some issues with the recording equipment, so we were only able to record the second two races, which were the bad ones, so yeah. Here, this is the third round of the championship. It's our second race because we missed the opening round at Buckmore Park. And we are in the beautiful North Wales countryside of Gors, or the Dragon Kart Club as some call it. It's a track that I've been at once before back in the BUKC Championship, so effectively Club 100 but for university students. And I think that was in 2017. So it was a track I guess I kind of had to learn again, so I was a little bit less confident than I was compared to when I was at Whilton Mill. But then again, I've had a bit more experience now in the lightweight championship, so I was feeling a bit more ready. For those of you who are new to Club 100 and don't know anything about it, you can find out more about them, club100.co.uk. Awesome Arrive and Drive Championship. They've got sprint championships, which is what I'm doing. They've got a sprint 60 championship and an endurance championship. The endurance is what I did last year. Now I've shifted on over to lightweights to I get some more action out on track. And the way the lightweight championship works is you get 3 heats of random grid orders. At the end, your results are taken, added up, totaled up, and then that assigns you a starting position for one of the 3 finals, A, B, or C. If you finish in, I think it's the top 4 in the C or B finals, you move up to the next finals, and then the A finals is the big finals at the end. And last time in finals, I think I qualified 18th for those finals, but didn't drive very well, maybe a mixture of not having the best of karts, and we ended up finishing dead last. So I wanted to do a little bit better for Glan. So without further ado, let's head on in to the first heat of the race, or of the first heat of the weekend. That's probably better. So the camera's pointing a little bit too low down, mainly because there was a bit of an issue in the practice. So before the first heat, you get 4 minutes to learn the circuit. So that's all the time that I've had here at Glan, and I think I got a bit of a knock from behind. So it's pointed the camera down. But either way, onto the start-finish straight. We're starting from P7. We're on the inside as we make our way up the hill. You can see it gets all a little bit muscly, but we're able to get our way down the inside, and I think we're already up into P4, maybe P5, as we head up the hill into the kink of turn 2. And again, we stick to the inside. We're up into P3. The guy ahead, he gets forced out a bit wide, so it gives us an opening. And with that, we're up into P2. So we've got a bit of a Fernando Alonso-esque start from P7 up into P2. But this is going to be the difficult situation, because I know there were quick guys around me, the likes of Mike Coppin and Fraser Brunton were in this particular heat. It was heat 3 of the day. I'll leave a link in the YouTube video description, so you can go and look at timings if you're into that kind of stuff. But I'd only had about 4 or 5 laps of practice so far today. This would have been maybe my 6th lap of the day, so I was still learning the circuit, and I guess it was a case of damage limitation. I didn't see myself being this high up the grid this early on. And we've got our lap counter in the top left. So this lap was a 51.0. I think the fastest times that you saw throughout the day would have been 49.9s or 50.1s. So to be honest, my target was to get, I guess in hindsight, my target would have been to get into the mid-50s, especially for our first heat of the day. This was heat 3. So there were other drivers in heat 1 and heat 2, and at the end of heat 3 everyone would have had a heat of their own, and then things start to get muddled together, so you get to race against loads of different drivers throughout the day. But let's take you through a lap here at Glan. Gors. I don't know if this is going to be a good lap, but either way, you come out of the final corner and then you are flat on the throttle, completely flat through turn 1. Open up the steering as much as possible so you get as little resistance, and then you're making your way up the hill. And sorry guys, you're a little bit blindsided by this, but not much I can do about that right now. Lay onto the brakes down into what is at turn 3. Try to get onto the power nice and early, and I quite liked riding that curb on the inside a little bit. And this is one of the more fun parts of the circuit, because you're kind of losing grip through this double left-hander. And yeah, I think you might have been able to tell. I think I gave a bit of a lift because I carried too much speed. Bit of a slide into the carousel. Fast right-hander, and then it tightens. You got to pull the car to the right, back on the brakes, be nice and smooth through this left-hander, and then hold it tight through the right, which we've got completely wrong, because as I mentioned, early stages of the day and still learning the track. Final corner, completely flat, but sometimes the back end may want to step out. You might get the turning a little bit wrong, so it's better to give a little lift so that you don't compromise yourself too much. Because if you come through that corner sliding, it costs you all the way up this straight, and let's be honest, it's not what you want at all. But we are on lap 4 of the race now, heading down the hill, and I know you can't really see, but it is Sam Essery who is leading up ahead of us, and I was kind of sitting about 1 second behind him. I brought it down a bit. I think if I'd gone back and done this with a bit more track time under my belt, I think maybe I could have caught him. It would have been close, but it took me a little bit too much time to get up to speed. I think that's the best way of putting it. So yeah, either way, on to our 5th lap, another 50.9 coming in. So we were consistent, and it was kind of difficult to work out where I was losing time because I didn't have any of the quick guys ahead of me. In the later heats, I did get those quick guys in front of me. I got Mike Hopp and Dante Dillon, Fraser Brunton later in this race as well ahead of me, so it gave me a good opportunity to kind of learn the track again through that double left hand, a little bit of a lift in the middle of the corner, so it costs us time all the way into the carousel. And later on I learned that heading into this carousel you can take the first right completely flat. One good thing about the camera dropping down is you can really see my feet, and you can see the footwork, and when I'm jumping onto the brakes and when I'm blipping the throttle, or when I'm having to jump off the throttle, feather the throttle and all of that. But these heats are, I think they're 8 minutes, and then your A finals is a 12-minute race. So you get less time in the heats, which I guess if you're at the front like I am now, it's a good thing because there's less time for you to lose positions. But heading on to lap 6, I think it was Mike Coppin who was right behind me now, and he was working with Dante Dillon just to close in onto me and not compromise each other at all. So we might be seeing good old Mike in a little bit. I think Mike was racing yesterday as well in the Sprint 60s and the Endurance. I'm pretty sure he does the Endurance. I don't know if he does Sprint 60s. But so far, so good. And I was pretty happy with the situation. You know, I could see Sam ahead, and I could see that I was maintaining the gap with him. So yeah, it was a bit of a confidence boost, and I knew coming into the day that I had to improve over the 3 heats and into the final. So I wouldn't have been too unhappy if my first race wasn't good. As down the inside, that is Mike Coppin who goes through, and Dante Dillon was right behind him, so I tried to make sure that Dante couldn't follow him through. Dante's on the outside as we head into the double left-hander, and we make sure that we get ahead of Dante, let's say. Brake nice and late, close the door on the exit, job done. But heading into the carousel, this is where Dante pulls off a really nice move where he sends it down the inside. Really well done from Dante, and I guess it was a move that I wasn't expecting. But after Dante had done that, I was now a little bit wiser to it and thought, okay, fine, that's one way to overtake. That's not something that I was expecting, but now I know, right, if someone's on my back, I've got to defend. As we head up the hill, we're right on the back of Dante. Maybe we could have a little look into turn 3. We just show our nose on the inside, but we're not brave enough on the brakes. We touch him on the exit, and this is allowing, I believe that's actually Fraser Brunton. Sorry, no, that's Dante Dillon behind this. It was Fraser Brunton who got past us. When we went side by side with Dante through this complex here, I think Fraser got through on Dante, and then he went through on me. So I knew Dante was behind me, so I knew, right, I've got to go defensive into this left hand. I believe it's called the Devil's Elbow. So I turn in a bit earlier, but Dante finds enough space, and he gets the job done. So another learning experience, you know. If you're going to go defensive, make sure you go all the way over, because if someone's faster, they will muscle their kart in. And that's why I like karting a lot more than a lot of the sim racing stuff, because I feel that karters feel a bit more aware. Like if someone comes up your inside like that, you'll give a bit more space. It's a little bit more physical, whereas when you do some sim racing stuff, it's like, oh, you made a bit of contact, and I don't know what sounds people make, but yeah, karting is a lot more physical, and I like it more because of that. I mean, we got a bit physical at the start, hugging the inside, muscling our way through, but either way, we are on to the final lap of the race. I think we've got Ashley White behind us, but he is too far back to be able to make any moves on us. So with that, we complete the race, and we will take P4, or sorry, it was P5 on track, but it was P4 because Fraser Brunton ended up picking a penalty for contact that he made with Mike Coppin. We come up alongside Dante here, we give him a nice little fist bump for a good race, but that's it, the first heat done and dusted. So now it was back to the garage and get ready for our second heat of the day. So our second heat of the day, this was heat 5, and well, our previous heat was heat 3, so we didn't get much break between our two heats, but either way, we're starting from P13. So we're on the inside again. We get a bad start. I should be right on the back of Mr. P11. It means that Daz Teal can get in front of us, which isn't a bad thing because Daz Teal is a very quick driver, and I spoke to him before the race. He's one of the quickest guys around in Club 100, so being able to sit behind him is always a good thing. And Daz can open up the door for us. He moves to the outside a bit, so we just say, okay, we'll take the inside. Bit of an incident on the left. We have a look out over our shoulder to make sure they don't come back onto the track and collect us as we head into the left-handers. And we're actually going to go around the outside of whoever that is. In the end, we can't quite make it work. We've got someone on our outside. That's Mr. Daz Teal, who is back in front of us. But either way, it's a good start. We've gained a few places, not too many. And starting from P13 in this race, we needed to work hard and make sure we can make our way through the field. Daz goes down the inside, which means that we can follow through, and that's the important thing. We've got a quick driver in front of us, so just stick to their arse like glue and try to follow through all the way. He gets a better run coming out of turn 1, so must have been that little bit smoother than us as we head into the hairpin. He's keeping a relatively tight line, maybe so that I can't send him down the inside. But we're up into P10, so we gain a few places. And when you start at the back of the grid, you're always going to get one of those heats where you've got to start down the field. They're always the fun heats, but you've got to make sure you don't make any mistakes, you don't get any penalties for bumping and passing or anything like that. And this time, our camera is facing the right direction as Daz Teal goes down the inside, and we're just waiting to see where we can make something happen. And, well, they end up taking each other out, and we say, well, thank you very much, I'll take both positions. And with that, we are up into P8, and now there's a very large gap to the guys ahead, and I think Sam Essery is there, Amy Breacher, Tim Penny. I think there's a couple of relatively quick drivers. None of the top drivers like Daz Teal, Fraser Brunton, or Mike Coppin are ahead of us right now. So I didn't know where I could end up in this race, but I knew I just had to get my head down and do the absolute most. You can see we're already taking that double left-hander better than we were in our first heat of the day. We're getting onto the power earlier. Even here in the carousel, I end up taking it better over the course of the day, and down into this devil's elbow, we're being a lot smoother than I was in heat 1. So it's what you're able to do once you have a heat, once you get some track time, you're able to come out of the car. And even if you're not consciously doing it, you're subconsciously thinking about how you can improve and how you can get quicker and quicker. So right now it's just heads down and try to close into this group of karts up ahead. And thankfully they're battling as well, which makes it even easier for me. This corner, that turn 3, was where I felt very, very quick. You know, as quick as the top guys. I was able to carry a lot of speed. And letting out the kart wider than others were, which seemed to be the way to go. I think I start taking this carousel completely flat. One thing that I was noticing with this particular kart, and I don't think the kart was bad, so I'll just say that straight away, is I think the front end was very loose. It didn't feel like it had a lot of grip, but it didn't seem to be costing me much track time. So I don't know why that is, but maybe I didn't get the heat into the tyres quickly enough at the start, so yeah, it was just a little bit understeery, but it seemed to have decent corner grip once, you know, you got through that initial turn-in phase. But here, midway through lap 5, 50.7 this lap is, and we have closed in to the guys ahead. I wouldn't say we're in striking distance just yet, but that's what, about half a second, and through this double left-hander, again, we're closing and we're visibly catching through every single corner. So I just want to keep working at it, keep on gaining time. I think I still don't really know how to take that carousel, because I was taking a wide line towards the end of the day, but I don't know if that was correct. So I don't know if any of the quick guys are watching this. Let me know. Tell me your secrets. But lap 6, another 50.9 coming up. So considering that my fastest time, I think in my first heat, so heat 3, was either a 56 or a 50.7, I would have wanted to get a little bit quicker than that, especially considering that I got some clean air. But we're catching, and that's the main thing. Again, we get. I think I'm much quicker than the guys up ahead through that double right hander. I think someone on my inside, no. But either way, we're now right onto the back of this 3-kart battle for P5. And it's about patience right now. You've got to wait and find the right opportunity to make a move, because they're going to be battling with each other. They're going to make mistakes, and we get... See, I felt that I got a relatively good run coming through the final corner, but maybe the car was a little bit sideways on corner exit. Whoever that is up ahead has a little look over his shoulder, tries to make sure that I'm not within striking distance so he can focus on, I believe that's Tim Penny up ahead. He has a look for the outside. We go down the inside. We give Penny a bump. I think I got a warning for that. I don't think I've done anything wrong, because if anything I pushed Tim forward, because I don't think I hit the cart alongside me. But we are now up a position. We're up into P7 or P6, and we're right behind Tim, and have a think, can I go down the inside into that corner? I also want to cover off the guy behind me so that he can't send me. Tim gets right up onto that curb, and that really sets him off. We're just giving him a little push, letting him know that we're there, because even if we can't get past, if we can push Tim forward up to Sam Essery and Amy Breacher up ahead, that's also really good. We got a warning, I don't know if it was visible, but it was on the digi flag that we got a warning for contact. So we're having a think about the inside. Tim covers it off, so we just look to get the corner exit. That being said, we don't really get a much better corner exit, so maybe I held onto the brakes for a little bit too long. But this is probably going to be the penultimate lap of the race, so I want to start working my way forward as quickly as possible and getting through these guys. Amy Breacher is being the cork in this bottle. I give Tim a little push so he can get up the inside of Sam Essery, and now I give Sam a push, and okay, yeah, maybe that was a bump and pass. I don't know. I get a bump into that corner, so I thought I was clear. I thought, okay, I'm clear, but then I got a bump into the final corner, and now there's a train of 3 cars along my inside, so I can't actually slot in behind anyone. So it's a really difficult situation to be in, because I'm about to lose 3 places because I can't get onto the inside. So I get overtaken by 1, and at this point I think, okay, I've got to try to hold it around the outside, but the rear end slides out, it steps out, and we lose 2 positions. And then I leave the inside uncovered, and this means that 2 more people get to go down my inside, one of them being Das Teal and the other being Sam Essery. And we got a bump and pass penalty for the move that we made down into Devil's Elbow last time round. We give Sam a little push, so we move down the inside, and then we slam the door shut, keep the door closed down into Devil's Elbow, so we move up 1 further position up into P7, but we picked up a 4th-place penalty at the end, so it's unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I think we could have maybe got, what, P5? P6? So yeah, it's unfortunate, but either way, we had a very good battle with the guys around, so, and that's why you go karting, so I'm not really complaining too much about that. I gotta have a huge amount of fun in that race, and that's Heat 5, our second heat of the day, done and dusted. So here we go then, the final heat of the day, Heat 8. Our next heat will be the A finals, and this is a big heat because we're starting from pole. Our first pole of the day, we got Mike Coppin starting in P2. I had a chat with him beforehand and said, let's just work together. If you get past, I won't defend. So the lights go green, and away we go. Now, obviously I did want to win this race starting from pole, but I knew I had Mike right behind me. He's very quick. Ed Bars and Rihanna Percox were further down the field as well, and they're also very quick drivers. So into turn 1, or turn 3, I guess, we try to get a decent run, but Mike is right on our tail. So as we move over to the outside, it's actually Mike who creeps up our inside and is up into P1. So Mike wasting absolutely no time whatsoever. and he gives the finger, well, not the middle finger, the finger, let's go forward, or in other words, don't try to overtake me because you're a slow coach. That could be the rude way of interpreting it, but yeah, Mike's quick, and he just drives away at this point. I think this particular heat, I think my kart was a little bit slow coming out of corners, or it was lacking top end or something. I don't think it was a massive amount, but I think it was a fair amount of time that I was losing. But we've got Mike behind us, and there we see just how hard Mike goes onto the brakes before turn 3. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, I've got to brake hard as possible into T3, because one of the things that I've learned from jumping from TKM, so Club 100 used to be TKMs, and now they've moved to Rotax. The big difference between those is that TKMs are direct drives, so they have no clutches, while Rotaxes do. And it kind of means that in TKMs you can be a lot more aggressive. You can slide around a lot more because the pickup from low speed is better, whereas in the Rotaxes, the pickup isn't quite as good. So Rotaxes, you generally try to be a little bit smoother. Now, Mike got a warning. What he got a warning for, I don't know, because he didn't make any contact with me. So maybe he abused the curb somewhere or track limits. But yeah, so there you can see the back end comes out under braking, because I saw Mike doing it. So I thought, okay, right, I'm gonna brake as late as possible, kind of TKM style, where you'd brake hard, the rear end would lock, your engine would cut out, then you jump back onto the power. And so far in the Rotaxes, I've just tried to be smooth, because every time I try to be too aggressive and I try to slide or anything like that, I end up losing time. So I try to switch things up and be more aggressive this time, at least into turn 3. Everywhere else, I think, need to be smooth, but turn 3, you don't get down to a very low speed. So yeah, one thing I wasn't too happy about, at least when the race weekend was done and I look back, was my lap times, because I'm doing low 51s, whereas in the previous session I was able to do high 50s, and now I've got clear air, I've got Mike in front of me, and I thought, you know, I'm seeing Mike, so I'm learning as well at the same time. But yeah, I wasn't really gaining anything from it. The other thing that I was seeing Mr. Coppin doing was he's jumping up and down in his seat on that start-finish straight, and I was thinking about copying him. And then I just thought, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's some hidden tech. Maybe it's some hidden tech that some of the drivers know about. But you'll see it again. I know he's a fair bit ahead of us, but you'll see him jumping up and down in his kart as he gets about halfway up the hill. So let's see if we can see it, actually. It should be... Okay, he usually does it about there. He's too far away for us to see it now. But if you look back on previous laps, he was doing it, and I don't know if that makes you go quicker. But we actually get a really good run through turn 3. I think that's one of the best lines that I've had through turn 3 so far today. And we do get a 50.7. I think I turned in a little bit early for that double left-hander. Thinking back to it, I think I could be turning in a bit later. So taking a slightly later Apex 1, and then Apex 2 I take the same as before. We get a decent run down into here. Again, it's about keeping it smooth, getting onto the power as early as possible, then hold it tight through this right-hander, and then pull the car over to the left so we can get a nice clean run through the final corner. And again, we do another 50.7 on this lap, so we keep things consistent. But there is a certain driver who is closing up to us, and we will be having a battle with them shortly. So don't worry, this race isn't going to just be me and P2 tootling around doing absolutely nothing, because this is actually a really fun battle that I end up having with Stephen Westwood, number 31, his fellow Class 2 driver as well. We actually go a bit wider. We get a wheel over into, I guess it's the AstroTurf. So that costs us a bit, but not too much. It's still a 50.7 lap time. I'm not happy with it. I think I slide in. So I think there was another 10th or 2 in this lap. So this actually could have been a 50.5, I guess. But apparently it was a 50.7. So there we go. This lap, though, is a 51, which means that we're having a battling. These heats tend to be about 9 laps. It's 8 minutes. And a lap time here at Gors is about 50 seconds. Or 51 seconds, so it means that you can get 9 laps in. So we hold the inside because we know we've got someone right behind us. We cover the inside into turn 3. All is looking good so far. We take our line, And does he get up our inside into this double left hand? I think he does. We try to close the door, but Mr. Westwood forces his way through nonetheless. A good move from Stephen, but we look for the switchback, and now we go down the inside into the carousel. Stephen actually very gentlemanly leaves us room, and it means that we get to have a good battle. We slam the door shut, heading down into the Devil's Elbow. I think that is fair. Maybe it was a bit aggressive from me to slam the door shut, but I think it's hard but fair racing between the pair of us so far. But the battle is well and truly on, and at this point I have a look behind me. I try to see, okay, where is Rihanna Perkins? Where is Ed Bars? Because they were closing in, and I didn't want to battle with Stephen if it meant that those two would catch up, because then I'd probably end up losing 3 places instead of 1. But we had enough of a gap. There was probably about 2 seconds, so I said, okay, we can battle. We will battle. I covered the inside now, heading down into the double left-hander at the bottom of the hill to stop Stephen from finding any way through. And now I want to hold the inside through here, but he ends up finding a way through nonetheless. But once again, we go down the inside into the carousel, and I'll be honest, at this point I had a huge smile on my face. I was absolutely loving this race to absolute bits. It was so good. But coming through the final corner, we can see final lap, and at this point I make my way through turn 1, and I have a look over my shoulder and I see, where is Stephen? And there was actually, I want to say, like 4 tenths between us. So I thought, you know what, 4 tenths is fine. I get my head down, I don't need to worry about defending. I'll just drive like normal. So maybe we brake a bit too early, but Stephen gets his car down the inside, he parks it on the apex, and as a result we can't get the overspeed. Stephen's making sure behind us that we can't get down the inside, but we are able to get a good run through this double left hand, and we get right up onto the back of Stephen. And I want to go down the inside into the carousel, but I've done it twice on Stephen, so he's not going to let it happen. We can't quite get the speed, and now we're too far back to have a send down into the Devil's Elbow as well. So sadly for us, we dropped down into P3, but it was an absolutely fantastic battle between the pair of us. So Stephen takes P2, we take P3. I'm not displeased with that. You know, I come up alongside, we give him a fist bump. I spoke to him after the race, and yeah, we were both we both absolutely loved that battle. He probably enjoyed it a little bit more because, you know, he got P2, but there you go. Our third heat done, and all that's left now is the A finals. So here we go then, A finals. We're starting in P11, which considering again some of the incidents, you know, the penalty that we had in one of the races, P11 was a really good starting position. We're on the inside as well, and that is absolutely critical. Now, I know I've got more pace, I know I can get into that top 10, and that is my goal for this race. Our last A finals at Whilton, the kart wasn't quite there, and this time in the practice the kart felt really good, so I was looking forward to this. On the power nice and early, get onto the back of the guy ahead, but we don't quite do that, so that's a bit of a shame, but that is not a huge issue. You know, one to learn from. Either way, up the hill we go towards it, turn 2, we get right onto the back of the guy in front of us, we just give him a little push along, and look, the inside opens up for us, and we think, okay, maybe we can go up there. Never mind, we can't. Everyone all starts loading each other. We might be culprit of doing a bit of loading, but we gain quite a few places. Rihanna up ahead alongside, I think that is Mr. Pope, and we are able to squeeze up the inside of Rihanna. We've got the outside, so Rihanna's probably going to hold this, and we're in P5. We're going to drop down to P6 as Rihanna will claim the position. So now it's just heads down and try not to lose any time. We almost run into Rihanna, and I don't know if I got a push from behind there, so we just try to hold it on the apex, slow everything down. Yes, Rihanna has pulled away, but I don't care. I'm just getting my head down now, and I'm going to try to pull away from the guys behind us. So out of turn 1, everything is relatively good at this point. And again, P6 is not somewhere where I would have expected to be. It's been a good start so far, but I forget that the corner opens up, and this means that Daztiel can get up our inside, and I just make a stupid mistake. And at this point I thought, someone's going to hit me, and yeah, someone hit me. So that was Greg Smith. Absolutely nothing whatsoever that Greg Smith could do about that. And our throttle has snapped, so you can see my foot. I've got to manually pull the throttle pedal back so that it doesn't stick, because usually there's a spring, so when you press the throttle, the spring will pull it back once you release it. And yeah, so my race is over at this point. An absolute shame really gutting considering where we were, but it was a really dumb mistake. I think Daz Teal was in his right to turn across me there, and even if he wasn't, I shouldn't have put my nose in. I should have just given up the position, and yeah, I would have had the rest of a race to work through. So a DNF in our A finals, which is really, really gutting. I was rather upset, but that's how it goes. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Our next race will be at Clay Pigeon down in Exeter. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, leave a like. Next time I might include like the live stream and put it in a corner so you can see an outside perspective of the race as well. I'll leave a link to the live stream too in the YouTube description. But there we go. That's Glan Gors done in Wales. So until next time, guys, stay tilt proof. Enjoy your racing, and assalamu alaikum.